Okay, my drop's not dropping because I didn't actually upload it right. It's been one of those days. How is everyone doing out there in YouTube land, Facebook land, everywhere else? I already see Grilla and Guns is up. I am setting something up for him. He's going to be doing a really interesting podcast, so it's going to be really, really cool. Tonight, we continue our DC Project journey. If you're not aware, what I've been doing is having the women of the DC Project on to talk about the DC Project and themselves and their states. Tonight, we have someone else on. But before we get to that, let me just say that Super Chats are active. And also, I have a Patreon, and it is patreon.com/John Crump. You can also make a one-time donation at paypal.me/JohnCC. And if you either do a super chat of $5 or a Patreon of $5, and I'm about to load that up because, of course, I didn't have that loaded up either, you get this awesome little look, wrong one. I'll give you that one if you wanted to. If you wanted to do $5, I'll get you that. But right there, the No Quarter for Tyrants patch. And that will go to whoever donates $5, either via Patreon or this or YouTube. The reason why I am collecting money after never actually taking money, and that is because my niece is suffering from brain cancer, a really aggressive form of brain cancer. So all the money I make through my Patreons or my YouTube ad revenue or super chats or PayPal or anything really, it goes to my niece's family to help them in this time of need. So let me bring in our guest without any further ado. It's Dawna LoPiccolo, DC Project representative from Tennessee. She also is an expert on red flag laws.
Wow, an expert. That's a good introduction. First, I just want to extend my prayers and good wishes for your niece and pray that Father God watches over her and restores her as his promises tell us that he will do. So I just wanted to, that just moved me that you would to do that. So I just want to take a moment to pray over her.
Yeah, we used to do a lot of different things with any revenue we got. Like we did a gun for a single mom, where we got a single mom a gun and put her through concealed carry training and everything else, and got her certified for concealed carry. We did an AR for dad because
moms like ARs too. Trust me.
Yeah, but it was more of, you can't really conceal an AR.
Not really. Your bag will be a dead giveaway.
Yeah, so we do stuff like that, but now it's cool. About family, So let's get into this. You are a member of the DC Project.
Yes, sir. I'm a Tennessee State Director.
Tennessee State Director. My boss over at GOA is actually from Tennessee.
Okay. I met the GOA people for the first time at a lobby day that we had in Tennessee not too long ago. I'm sorry?
Was it Matt and Kaylee? His wife Kaylee?
Keely I met.
Yeah, that's my wife.
I am relatively new to the whole Second Amendment advocacy. It kind of fell into my lap. So I'm still learning the players and the names, and I won't pretend to know somebody I don't. So that's why I was kind of like, okay. It kind of fell in after what was going on in Virginia with the Second Amendment resolutions that were going on county by county. It kind of spurred the movement here in Tennessee. And my county already had somebody in charge of the effort here. And he really wasn't that active because he was just time. I asked him if he needed help. And then next thing you know it, within 6 months, I'm with the DCP. So it's been a very fast education for me. I consulted experts on the Constitution when it comes to the Second Amendment because I don't want to call myself an expert, but I'm trying to relay the information that I've gotten and I've studied.
That's cool. Yeah, you were always a gun person, from what I hear.
No, I actually was terrified of guns, but I was always a constitutionalist. So I really didn't care that you owned a gun. I just didn't want one. It was fear based. It was fear based. And then I was a 9/11 responder down at Ground Zero, and it kind of woke me up. And I realized that I really was in charge of my own safety, that I am my own personal first responder. I used to be a left-leaning independent, not to bring politics into this because the Constitution's for everybody, but it really woke me up to be more mindful of my own security.
Yeah, that seems to happen to everyone. So you were a responder to Ground Zero in New York.
Yes, sir, I was.
Were you originally from New York?
Yeah, I grew up on Long Island
Where?
and
In Long Island.
Levittown,
Levittown.
Nassau County.
Yeah, my wife is from Ronkonkoma.
Oh, okay. Know it well. I know it well.
My father-in-law was a responder at Ground Zero for the National Guard.
Really? It was an amazing experience. I mean, it's something that changed my whole life, whole perspective on just about everything. It rewired me completely. But just meeting the amazing people from not only in America, but from around the world that came to help was the most sad and uplifting time of my life. It's a very odd emotions you're having. You're so sad, your city is just so hurting, America's so hurting, and then you're just seeing this can-do attitude, and the answer to every question was yes. Whatever you need, yes, I'll get it.
Yeah, I was a firefighter on 9/11, and I was also in Arlington, a couple blocks away from the Pentagon on 9/11.
So how was that for you?
Well, I didn't actually have to respond. I did a little standby, but I didn't.
Yeah.
I wasn't actually at the Pentagon, so I don't want to claim that I was or anything. But I was on standby. A lot of my friends were there, and I have some other friends who were in front of the Pentagon when the plane flew over the road.
It still boggles my mind. I can't believe we're coming up on 20 years next year. I'm a firefighter's kid and I'm an EMT, so I appreciate all first responders and consider you now my brother.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, I mean, I was up all the night before, and when I got home, it was just like, okay, well, now I got to go, and I want standby, so let me just stand by and just wait. So I just waited and waited and waited, and I can't go to sleep, so I didn't go to sleep, and then before you know it, I was up for like 48 hours.
Yeah, it kind of happened after that time too, because I didn't get down there until the 17th. I had just recently moved upstate New York, about 2 hours north of the city. And at that time I was a massage therapist, and we knew we'd be an asset. And there were over thousands of us dispatched throughout the city. And we just didn't sleep. And it was a round the clock operation, 24/7. It just didn't stop. And if you slept, you felt guilty.
Yeah, it was like that. Yeah, I was at home, so I wasn't I didn't go to the station or anything, but it's like, well, the call, if they're gonna call me anytime now because we can't know what's going on.
Yep. My dad was on standby, and just that's the way it works. Everybody plays their part. Everybody has a role. They're all important. They're all significant.
Yeah, it was it was crazy. It seems like the day after. I mean, I hated 9/11. The day after 9/11 on 9/12 is what I like to remember when everyone came together. which seems like a
Yeah.
long time. It was like
What
19 years ago.
happened?
And you look at what's going on now, and it's just like,
It kind of blows my mind. I just heard from somebody, I haven't confirmed this myself, but that after the 20th year anniversary, any conversation about 9/11 is going to be considered hate speech. And they're thinking about closing the museum down and opening up the mosque. I have not confirmed that yet. I just heard that recently, and that would just break my heart. I used to give tours down at Ground Zero through the museum, and I built a 9/11 memorial in my hometown, upstate New York. Not really my hometown, but where I relocated to. And, you know, like you on 9/12, there was a flag out everywhere. You couldn't buy an American flag. They were out of stock, you know, they would just, and when I look at the state of the country now and the division, it really is heartbreaking.
well, I don't know. I mean, I try to steer clear of a lot of politics on the show and keep it just about gun rights and stuff like that. But it was heartbreaking today to see the DNC, their tweet today about uh, Mount Rushmore being a sign of white supremacy.
I spent a better part of today guarding a veterans memorial here in Tennessee. There was a threat, and I'm having a hard time with all of this. Let's redefine history. It shocks me. It shocks me, the disrespect to our history. And you can say history was written wrong, but there's some sort of, I could just imagine what they could say about 9/11 20 years from now.
Yeah.
And, you know, and I didn't hear that today. I was busy guarding a memorial because there was a threat of vandalism. So
What's really funny is I was arguing with someone. They're like, "But the Native Americans, but the Native Americans." Like, do you realize that my grandmother was Cherokee, and I know a lot of Native Americans because my grandmother was Cherokee, and 90% of them think that's the dumbest thing ever. And they're like, "Well, they just don't know the history of it."
they
It's like,
don't. They
no,
don't.
they were telling me that the Native Americans, they just don't, that aren't for tearing down Mount Rushmore, don't know the history of it. I'm like, that is the most condescending thing you can say to people. And do I believe that there's problems? Yes, I do.
Absolutely.
But I also think that the whole movement, the whole death of George Floyd, has been co-opted by other people.
I think so too. And you know, as a white woman and you being a white gentleman, some Cherokee, I find it almost insulting to the Black community for a white person to say that they are oppressed. I think that they are pushing their own agenda. And I believe that if a Black man or woman feels oppressed, they know they're oppressed and they're capable of speaking up about it themselves. I have a really hard time with the marrying of BLM and Antifa. Antifa has their own agenda. And I'm not a political analyst. I don't, play one on TV, but, we all can kind of see what's unfolding in front of us. And I think that the movement's been hijacked. And I think there was a different agenda to begin with.
It definitely has been. I sponsor a podcast called The Trenchard Chronicles, which is about gun ownership in the African American community. And Devin, he's the host of it. Him and I had a conversation about it being hijacked. And he was like, yeah. And he's like, yeah, I knew it was going to be hijacked before it was even hijacked because that's what they do. That's what the Antifa group does.
And it's just, I just feel sad for the kids. I often when I speak in engagements, I'm embarrassed because, I'm from a generation that was a child of great generation parents and grandparents. And I feel like we were the generation that gave it all away. We are never going to be remembered as the greatest generation unless we do something.
Yeah.
It's disheartening.
It really, really is disheartening. And I don't know if I think it started in schools. The kids, they're not taught about the horrors and the evil of like communism, basically, and socialism.
No, and I think what confuses the kids, I was an older student. I went back to nursing school when I hit 50. And I would hear the kids, bright, articulate, smart men and women, young men and women, and they had a heart for people. And they thought that being socially aware, caring about the environment, caring about this, caring about that, being socially aware means they're a socialist. They didn't make the correct connection, and a lot of the professors are feeding into that. And I saw it firsthand. I mean, these intelligent, bright kids crying their eyes out when Trump lost the election, asking me what did I say lost?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, I'm gonna get killed for that one. When he won the election, they all came up to me and crying and, Dawna, tell me, give me a glimmer of hope. Give me a glimmer of hope. What can we take away from this? What can you tell us that makes us feel better? And the only thing I can tell them, and I still believe that today, that every man is flawed. But I do believe with every ounce of me that Donald Trump loves America and he loves this country and he will defend her, and that they could rest easy knowing that he's at the helm of the watch.
Yeah, it was sometimes when I'm sad or something, I go back and watch election night results.
Oh, I love those.
Applications are just freaking great.
Donald Trump will not be president. That's one of the best montages ever put together, and I watch that frequently and get a good giggle.
Yeah, when they're showing like everyone laughing about it, and
George Clooney, all of them. It was good. No, that's a feel good montage. The person who put that together was brilliant.
Yeah, well, the thing is the polls were all wrong because people were shamed. Oh, you can't be voting for him. You can't be voting for him. So they shamed them.
Yep.
So people are like, okay, yeah, I'm not voting for them. Then they went in there and they hit.
They hit the button. Something happened. It was an awakening. I see the fall of America if he's not reelected. The America that we know it, the America that we're trying to preserve. That's why I fight. That's why I fight to preserve the Constitution. Even when I didn't want a gun, I was always a constitutionalist. I always believed in the right to bear arms, even if I didn't want one.
Yeah. I have a friend named Ed, and he doesn't want a gun. He doesn't own any guns. He won't touch a gun. He won't fire a gun. He doesn't want to be around guns. He doesn't read about guns. But he was out there on lobby day.
Yep.
With us, because he's like, it's not for me. I don't like them. I don't want to touch them. I don't want to fire them. They don't interest me, but they are our right. And if
I agree.
I want to have that right, and I want to protect that right for not only me if I change my mind, but for you guys who want that protection. And for him to say that, it always harken back to that.
That's exactly how I felt. And then in 2013, New York had passed some crazy gun laws. It would have taken me.
Safe Act.
Oh, I'm sorry?
The Safe Act.
The Safe Act, yeah. And I was like, I'm out of here. I'm out of New York. And I was a diehard New York girl, love New York, proud to be New York. But I searched for a state that was in line with my new views. And once I got to Tennessee, within 3 months, I had a pistol, but I was still nervous. But I knew that I wanted one. So I met with a state trooper friend of mine, and we sat with the gun and we broke the gun down and we named the parts. We cleaned the gun. We put the gun back together. We took it apart again. And then he told me the functions of the part. And then he just grilled me and we just went over things. And he demystified that gun. The gun became a tool. I'm the weapon. I'm the one you got to worry about. The gun, not so much. It really is just an object to protect yourself. It could be anything, an object for evil or an object for good. But once you understand what you're holding, it kind of takes the power away. You know it's a powerful thing. You know it's something to respect and really know what you're doing. But at the same time, it absolutely demystified it for me. And I absolutely love to shoot. I love to shoot.
Oh yeah, I love to shoot too. I'm pretty open about my mental health, and I suffer from anxiety disorder and some other stuff, panic attack disorder and stuff like that. So I see I see a therapist, and I always tell him I love to shoot. It relieves my stress,
Relaxes me.
my anxiety. I feel calm and peaceful. And his answer is, yeah, go and continue doing that.
Good, good. I'm glad you kind of brought up your health situation, because that comes up a lot with mental illness and guns. And
I'm segueing into that. So.
Oh, there you go. I picked up on it. So we're a good team. That's a big argument for red flag laws, is that we need to protect people. We need to get rid of a threat. We need to, there's a mental health issue and challenge in this country, and we should make sure that these people aren't armed. Well, we already have laws on the books to address mental deficit. And I don't like that term either, but it is the legal term. And I'm just going to, there's a code, there's a federal code, and I just don't want to read it wrong to you, but it's federal code under 18 U.S. Code 92. So it's unlawful to possess or sell any firearm or ammunition to any person knowing or having reasonable cause to believe that such a person has been adjudicated as a mental defective or has been committed to a mental institution. So here's the big ticket, the big thing that people need to take away from this, is that to be a mental deficit where you cannot carry, you have to have been diagnosed by a doctor and adjudicated by a judge and declared a mental deficit.
There is a
situation. I'm sorry?
There is a back door.
Well, I'd love to, and I don't know where you're going with this, but I'm curious.
I'm a writer, and I did some research, and I do, to say I do FOIAs is kind of an understatement. I try to do a FOIA a day.
Okay.
Just to see what I got. And also, I develop contacts and sources inside organizations that I use my journalism.
Okay.
The ATF has a form where you can basically fill it out and saying, I'm not capable of owning a firearm.
So you're self-declaring?
You're self-declaring. And here's the thing. Once you self-declare,
once you sign it,
you're done.
You're done.
There's no appealing. There's no, let me take myself off there.
So let me ask you, in what incident would an ATF person present that to somebody? Are they trying to then make them a felon, or what do you think is the rationale for an ATF person to do this?
Well,
a
doctor would, or a family member would present it to the person. Have them find it, fill it out, sign it, submit it to the ATF. The ATF then gives it to the FBI, and that person is added to the prohibited person list of NICS.
So when did the ATF become in charge of taking away all of our rights? I'm kind of curious.
That's that's the whole thing. Right now, I am searching for someone who self-declared and wants to sue. So if anybody
Okay.
out there wants to sue on this and is self-declared, let me know. I will get your case 100% funded, and we can take it down this law because I think it's very, very dangerous.
I mean, it's the first I'm hearing of it, so I'm not,
Yeah, not only people. If you go to amylane.com,
okay.
I wrote an article on it, and also it has the leaked documents that I got from the ATF. The ATF don't really like me because I have contacts there that send me documents all the time. But the thing is, it's not even well known or widely known.
No, I mean, like I said, I mentioned to you that I'm new in the whole fight here and the whole crusade. So I'm learning things all the time from people. Most of the time when we talk about situational depression or somebody with PTSD or somebody who might be taking medication, there have been times in my life where I've been situationally depressed. The loss of my grandmother sent me for a spin. My divorce sent me for a spin. And you go and you get help and you use these tools just like any other thing that would be broken. You break an arm, you take a medicine, you do your thing, you do your therapy. So you get better and you move on. And that's not the mental deficit that we're talking about. And people are trying to use life situations to get these people declared mentally unstable and take their gun rights away. So that's kind of what I wanted to bring out with that point, is that you have to be diagnosed by a doctor, and it has to go before a judge before they can take your right to bear arms away.
Yeah, that is true. Now, let's talk about some red flag laws.
Okay. So I'm just going to give a scenario and a breakdown of kind of what happens. So Dawna owns some guns, and I get in a fight with a neighbor. This neighbor can make a false claim. So red flag laws are basically hearsay. So Jane Doe calls the police department and says, Dawna threatens me. She has guns, I'm scared. Now, this is dangerous because Jane Doe doesn't have to go down before a judge and be sworn in and sign an affidavit that she's telling the truth. The police department often doesn't even go to the judge and will come knock on your door. Now, because there was no investigation, there's no probable cause. So if they do have a search warrant, if they did go to a judge, it's illegal because you have to have probable cause. Right now, it's just hearsay. So the big takeaway with red flag laws, it violates the Second, the Fourth, the Fifth, the Sixth, the Seventh, the Eighth, and the 14th Amendments. Some say the 10th as well.
Yeah, almost all of them.
Almost all of them. But the big takeaway is the due process. You're not protected from illegal search and seizure, which is the 4th. There's no probable cause, which is the 4th. Fifth Amendment talks about due process. Sixth Amendment talks about speed and public trial. So what happens with the red flag law is they come and they bang on your door. Bang, 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 bang. And you wake up, you don't know what's going on. And they usually do this in the middle of the night because they were told you were a threat. So they come and they bang on your door and they want to take your guns.
If they even bang on the door.
If they bang on the door. So we both obviously are aware of a couple of incidents. And the scary part is red flag laws do not remove the threat. I would be the threat. Somebody wanting to cause harm is the threat. Removing the guns from the house does not make a person who feels threatened any safer. They kept the knife collection that I had hanging over my fireplace, and they left me there. They left me, and now I'm really angry. So how dangerous is that if there's somebody out there who really is a danger and a threat to society, that you would use a red flag law to take their guns away? It makes no sense. It absolutely makes no sense. And then this person doesn't even have an opportunity for a speedy trial. So anywhere from 3, 6, 9, 12 months until they can even go before a judge to get their firearms back. So this is kind of cruel and unusual punishment that kind of comes underneath. I think that's the Eighth Amendment. And, that's the danger, is then what happens is at the end of that ERPO, that they call Jane and they say, hey, Jane, Dawna's red flag ERPO is about to expire. How are you feeling about this? Oh no. She really scares me. I still don't feel safe. Boom, there's another one. So you may never get your guns back.
Do you know what the average cost of fighting a red flag law is?
Do I know the average cost of fighting it?
Fighting it, yeah.
No, I don't.
$10,000.
Wow.
Yeah, I've done a lot on red flag laws. I've actually spoken on national TV shows on red flag laws. I just wanted to bring up a screen really quick here.
Sure.
Right there.
What am I looking at?
Oh, I'll make it bigger. Oops, hold on.
I'm like, hey, they got a Smith & Wesson. I'm ready for that.
Yeah. I accidentally scrolled down. Let me scroll back up to the top here. It was FBI, sorry. It was leaked documents I got from the FBI.
Okay.
On how people can self-identify as prohibited on the NICS list. So if anybody wants to read it, you can go look it up. But I just wanted to bring it up.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, it's very interesting because, like I said, I don't think anyone, once you get on there, you can't get off.
You can't get off it. You can't get off
it.
it.
No, there's no way that it's a permanent, irreversible designation.
And it's just, and being somebody who has a newfound appreciation for gun ownership, that's why I'm fighting so hard to keep it, because I was always there and I always didn't care, what you did. But now that I am a gun owner, I'm fighting even harder to make sure I can stay a gun owner. And it's our right to carry. You're right to carry, but you are obligated to train. I think that every gun owner should stay trained, be trained, keep their skills sharp. I don't think that just getting a permit is enough. It's your right. You don't even need a permit, really, under the law. It's an infringement. But if they want us to get permits, okay. But you should train. Yeah.
I agree that you should train. I don't agree that. Well, I'm not sure this is what you're saying. I don't think it's what you're saying, but I don't think a government mandating what training you get is
absolutely good. Absolutely.
I didn't think you were saying that. I just wanted to.
No, I just really, because like in Tennessee here, they're kind of going for a constitutional carry and kind of get away with a permit. And the bill that's proposed here is really nothing more than permitless carry and just a redefinition of gun control. There's really more things you can't do than can do. So I personally love to see permits done away with completely, not background checks. Background checks are important. I have no issue with the background check. But permit, it is an infringement. And I think that if we do away with the permit process, then people have money to really train properly, because even those concealed carry classes, you're just getting a brush over of safety. That's about it.
Yeah. One other case that you might want to look into is one that I actually worked on, where we reported on it, and caused a bunch of noise in Florida, which actually got the guy's guns back out. And it wasn't only me and a guy named Hank Strange. He's a pretty big YouTuber. We worked on this together by blowing up people, getting people to blow up the phone lines in Florida and stuff like that. There was a guy named John Carpenter who was in Florida. His father-in-law, who have since passed recently, a great guy. Um, he was red flagged.
Okay.
The reason why he was red flagged is somebody red flagged their a guy they rented a room to. And his name was John Carpenter.
Okay.
John Carpenter is a very common name. They've actually
one of my favorite directors.
Yeah, I'm about to say there's even a famous director called John Carpenter. So this guy had a concealed carry permit in Pensacola County. Yeah, there's people all a bunch of different places are saying, "You mean the director?" No, not the director. So the guy was the wrong John Carpenter. So they red flagged him.
Oh my
because
God.
he had the same name. The guy didn't know the lady at all. Never lived there. The guy was a family guy,
Wow.
and I was able to track down with minimum
Effort, right?
minimum effort, like 10 minutes of effort. I was able to track down the actual guy that they were looking for, and it was the wrong guy. So
Wow.
originally, he was like, "Well, how do I get my guns back?" They're like, "Well, you got to go to court." They're like, "Well, can't you just take a
Give
picture
them
and
back.
bring it over?" They're like, "No, that's not how it worked." Eventually, that's how it worked, but it was only it only worked out that way because of immense pressure from the public calling.
Oh, I bet if they had the wrong man.
Why are you doing this? You guys have the wrong guys, blah blah blah. And if you looked at the actual picture, I'm trying to bring up the picture of the actual guy it was, and this guy. The guy they were looking for had like swastika tattoos all over his body, and this guy's like a retired military guy with a family, wife and kids.
Wow.
The other guy was like a drug dealer, a convicted drug dealer. It's like, okay, well, of course he's not going to have a gun because
he's a felon.
He's a felon. It's
and they follow all the laws, don't they?
Yeah. It's like, so what are you doing? And we caused a lot of noise, but that right there shows how dangerous red flag laws can be.
They really are. When I believe it was New Jersey, that when they finally passed that they would enact red flag laws, there was an average of one a day that they were carrying out. And the dangerous part about it is that there's no repercussions for a false claim. Just like with Child Protective Services, if you make a false claim against somebody, that should be punishable. That should be a punishable crime. And if you make a false claim with the red flag laws and use them as a vendetta, I think you should be punished.
There was a lot of places that actually have it on the books that you could be guilty of perjury. With that said, I only know one case where they actually charged someone with perjury, and that was in Colorado when a lady filed a false red flag laws against a cop that was involved with the shooting with her son.
Wow.
And
that would have to, I guess in that case, if they're charged with perjury, then there are some states that do require a signed affidavit. There are some, I believe, that require you to go down, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, there's some. It depends on the states, like Colorado, Virginia.
Okay.
Well, Virginia was going
to that's my understanding. Most don't.
Yeah, most don't. But I just wanted to be upfront that.
No, I agree.
but some do. What I like to do is I like to put out the actual all the facts out for people.
No, I mean it's the only way we're going to weed through it. If we always just highlight our side of things, then there can really be no dialogue. I learned a very important bit of information when I went to Ambassador Academy with the DC Project just a few weeks ago in Florida. We met with a social media person who kind of gave us some tips and some pointers about how to engage with people who have different opinions than us. And what you and I are doing is chit chat because we were on the same page.
Uh-huh.
But if you really want to have dialogue, then that's when you're talking with somebody who has different views from you, and you can have a good conversation flowing back and forth. If you and I walk away thinking the same way we did when we started, that's chit chat. Dialogue is when you have growth. So DC Project is just an amazing organization, and I've just grown so much with them, and the training that they provide the women is phenomenal.
Yeah, I totally agree. That's why I wanted to have as many DC Project people on. This is my article, just for anyone out there, on the guy that the lady that was arrested on perjury. Now here's the question: she red flagged a cop, so. What if it wasn't a cop?
Right.
Would they have still have red flagged?
I just.
Or would they still have charged her?
Charged her. Yeah. I don't know. I mean, obviously, I'm just hearing about this for the first time with you. My inclination is they wouldn't have bothered.
No,
that's my inclination. This is dangerous. This is a slippery slope because, once we chip away at liberty's never regained. Once you'll lose it, you're not getting it back. And when it comes to this issue, it's a hot issue. It's a hot topic. We have we have Moms Demand Action screaming at us, and I invite them all the time. Well, can't we just sit and talk and chat? And, and I met a woman at the lobby day, and I asked her if I could take a picture with her. I was wearing my DCP t-shirt. She was wearing her Moms Demand Action t-shirt, but I had brought my pseudo granddaughter with me because she was learning about the legislative process in school. So I said, you want to come with me to lobby day and see how all this works? She's 8 years old. Yeah, I want to go. So I meet this woman from Moms Demand Action. I said, can you do me a favor? Will you take a picture with me so we can teach my granddaughter that even people who have a difference of opinion can come together and talk? This woman was so hot under the collar that I even suggested it. It blew my mind. I wish I'd have thought ahead of time to give you that snapshot of the look on her face that somebody took. And I said, I can see that we're, on different sides of the fence here. She said, how do you know what I stand for? I says, because of your t-shirt and my t-shirt. She's like, well, I'm about gun safety. And I just looked her dead in the eye and I said, aren't we all? And she didn't know what to say, because I met her where her objection was. And I said, aren't we all? And no, I don't think she is. She has a different agenda. But I would have seriously welcomed the opportunity to just sit. Anybody out there, if there's any MD and moms out there, I just invite you to sit. Let's talk, you and me. Then I'm going to invite you to the range and find out what your fears are. I was afraid of guns. I was terrified of guns. And I know your fear. And I understand that fear. But once you handle the gun and once you learn what it can and cannot do, that's the biggest thing, what it cannot do, then it takes that fear away and you have the power back. So be empowered in a different way and get educated. DC Project is all about education of a legislation. That is our motto. That is what we strive for. So anybody out there, man or woman, if you're just not sure, contact me through John or the DC Project, and we'll take care of you. We'll get you trained and we'll give you a feel for it. And then you can make an educated decision if gun ownership is right for you.
Yeah, and the DC Project is non-political.
It is. It really is. The Constitution's for everybody.
Yeah. Oh, one of the episodes I got criticized on was a episode I did with a guy named Alan Bon Jovi. Not like John Bon Jovi, Alan Bon Jovi. And one of the reasons why people criticized me, and I pushed back against this, is because he is a Bernie Democrat.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, we have nothing on that. Nothing in common on that. But what we did have in common was he is also a gun rights guy, a gun rights activist.
Now, I'm going to tell you a true story. So I was raised by a Democratic woman and a Republican father. Staunch Republican man. When I came to Tennessee and I got my first pistol, and then, a couple of years later, I built my AR, he was adamant about the fact that I shouldn't own an AR, that it's a military rifle, and that, I know you can giggle, and that we as citizens should not be carrying military weapons. So I had to educate him on what an AR is, what it is not, what AR actually stands for, what it does not mean. And so he's a Republican, dead against the right to own an AR. I have lost more friends over my AR ownership, lifelong friends, over this. Yet my mom, who was a lifelong Democrat, she would have loved it. She would have been all for it.
Yeah.
We go ahead.
No, we have a question. So I'll finish that up.
No, I'm just saying, so it's not a right or a left issue, really. The preservation of the Constitution's for everybody.
G Webs, he's actually a pretty big YouTuber he has one of those. I'm not sure if he actually has it, but he has the right to get one of those plaques where you get over 100,000. I think he has
okay
1,000 subscribers. So if anybody wants to go check out gun websites on YouTube, definitely check him out. Great content. He also hosts the Daily Gun Show, which is also great content. But I'm usually sleeping at the time because he's on the left coast, the wrong coast, I guess you can say.
Okay.
He wants to know, are there many non-conservative gun owners in Tennessee?
Well, we have 650,000 permit holders. That's just permit holders. We have a mostly conservative state, with the exception of Knoxville, Memphis, Chattanooga, and Nashville really becoming very strong Democratic-run cities. But I know many gun owners in Tennessee who don't necessarily, I wouldn't call them conservative. I wouldn't say they're the majority at all, though, for sure. I'm sure most of them are conservative.
Well, here's the thing. My mom is a Democrat. Well, I'm not even sure she's a Democrat anymore, but she was up until recently, like everything that's happened recently, which kind
the old school Democrat. She's a Kennedy Democrat.
Yeah, she's been a Democrat up until like really recently, since the whole Antifa taking over Seattle blocks.
Walk away.
So yeah, she basically walked away in the last couple months. But she was a gun owner when I was under a year old, and I was less than a year old. I have 4 older sisters, and with my mom at home, and there was a home invader. A guy broke into our house. So my mom confronted him with a little 38 special. People out there have heard this story before, because this is the reason why I am a Second Amendment advocate. And she told the guy to get out. He said no. He had a knife. You never bring a knife to a gunfight, by the way. It's one of the lessons learned in this story. I said, if you don't get out, I will shoot you if you take one more step closer to us. So my mom had us all cuddled, And the guy said, no, you won't. And he took a step closer to my mom. And I play poker with my mom sometimes. And I learned that she really doesn't bluff.
Something tells me it didn't end well for this man.
It did not end well at all. So that's where I get my Second Amendment passion from, is that incident. And I've asked her, I was like, do you ever feel bad about what you had to do? And her answer is always no. No, I don't feel bad.
You know, I don't know a gun owner who wants to ever have to draw their weapon.
No.
You know, my kids tease me. They're like, Ma, you bought another pistol. Now you want a competitive shoot. Now you want a competition belt for your birthday. And I tell them all the time that I do this so I can protect them. And I hope that I die 90, an old lady, and they can go through the garage and they can see all this stuff that I have and sell it because I never had to use it. And I hope that it's just an insurance policy, just like anything else we do to safeguard our family. And, it's a strange time right now. It's a strange time. I've had grown men. I'm 5'4". I've had 6-foot men get in my face over a MAGA hat, and I was glad I was carrying. And I put my hand on my hip and not really brandished my weapon, but I asked them. I said, "Are you kind of looking out for my best interest, or are you threatening me? Because I really want to know how to react here."
Yeah.
And they're always put off by that. But I'm legally disabled from 9/11, and I have physical challenges. And one thing I want to tell anybody out there that has any sort of physical challenge and feels like they can't protect themselves, owning a firearm has absolutely made me an able-bodied warrior.
Yeah,
I train hard. I'm always trying to improve. I'm not cocky by any means. I've got a lot to learn. But it levels the playing field. It absolutely levels the playing field. And I can feel confident.
Yeah, I have a friend that's in a wheelchair, and he carries. And somebody's like, "Why do you need a gun?" It's like, well, if I get assaulted, do you really think I'm going to be able to defend myself without one?
That's what I'll joke all the time. Like, I just had double knee replacement. I'm like, if I fall down, I'm not getting up. So I better have something on my hip to help me fight back. So, we make light of all this, but when it comes down to it, we are our own first responder.
Yeah,
and we really are responsible for ourselves and the family and our loved ones. And being a patriot, and I'm a 3%er, so I am somebody that will absolutely fight.
What? Yeah. What, in any particular group, or just 3% or 3%er?
In Tennessee, I belong to two organizations. One is Middle Tennessee 3%ers, and the other is Middle Tennessee Spartans. And we train, and we've committed to ride it out with each other, whatever happens. In fact, it was a whole bunch of us guarding the Veterans Memorial this past week because there was a threat that came in. So it's time to take a post. It doesn't matter if you're a 5'4" physically challenged woman, or an ex-military guy, or a young kid. We had veterans from pre-Vietnam guarding the memorial, and we had a kid who was 30 sit next to him, and I interviewed them both, and it was just wonderful to see them talking to each other, and the fellowship and the brotherhood that they had for each other. And that's what it's like with the 3% family. So we'll watch each other's backs. I have your back now. You're my brother, remember?
Yeah, well, I might be your brother a little bit more in a second. That's my organization.
Oh, I love it.
30% Patriots of Virginia. Yeah, I do a lot with 3%ers, not only from Virginia, but from around the country.
That's really good to know. I'm going to want a bit more information on that. On a strange thing that happens to me today, I'm really kind of flattered. I I've been very big with the Second Amendment advocacy on the local, state, and now on the federal level with DCP, not having really the opportunity yet to go to DC because of COVID, the Kung flu.
Don't say that.
No, the Kung flu. I'm going to do it. So I got a text this afternoon and said, we want to start an all-female militia. Are you in?
Oh, that's pretty awesome.
That's badass. So, of course, I said yes. I was flattered to be considered to be in the founding women. There's 10 of us right now who are looking to get it going. And the name right now is Ladies of Liberty. My call sign happens to be Lady Liberty, so I threw that one out there. So look for that. I'm not really sure when it's going to kick off, but we're tired of being told to sit down. And it's time for the women to unite. And DC Project gave me that courage to bond with other women and fellowship with other women and realize that we are strong Second Amendment supporters.
Yeah, I've had the national leader of 3% United Patriots of Virginia on. I also had the leader of 3% Original on, and some other of not Virginia, 3% United Patriots, like that Mike Morris. If there's a Vice documentary on 3%,
okay.
He's the guy that was there. So I've had a lot of 3%ers on the show.
Well, I've always been a patriot, even when I wasn't a conservative gun owner. I was always a diehard patriot. I bleed red, white, and blue. So being a gun owner just added a different dimension because I really feel like now I can take that post. I always told my kids if I had to, I would take a post. And I kind of, felt like I'm doing that at the memorial a little bit, guarding that a little bit. And there's bands of women that I belong to with DCP and now with these Ladies of Liberty and my 3% brothers and sisters. And it's just time. It's time for the patriot to stand up. And we don't need to be confrontational, but we need to be seen. We need to be vocal. We need to make a clear point to the opposition that we're not going to sit down.
Well,
we're not going to sit down.
Let me ask you something.
Sure.
What do you think about the where they try to portray 3%ers as like white supremacists or white nationalists, whatever you want to call them?
Well, patriotism isn't definitive with the word white. They're not synonymous. 3%ers, we've got every race, creed, and color in our family. And it's an absolute fallacy. It's absolute just left media just trying to portray us, trying to take away our freedom to defend. If you look at what happened, I'm sure in Virginia, it wasn't all white when they were out there.
Let me show you. One of my brothers and I.
There you go. There you go.
On lobby day.
So I've got fantastic brothers and sisters from every race. I really wish people would educate themselves as what the 3%ers are and then just ask questions. Just the only thing that I can really say is that educate yourself, ask questions, don't follow anything blindly. Have 2, 3, 4, 5 different sources. Learn what the other side is saying. Do your research. Come back and ask more questions. I never pretend to know anything.
Yeah,
ever.
That was Devin. He does a podcast. Like a 3%er gun rates podcast. And you can see that he's not white. We were at a rally one time, and a Mom's Demand Action person that was not mad. Mosh. He looks like a Mom's Demand Action person came up to him, and he had a picture. I don't know. Have you ever seen the picture of Ralph Northam in blackface with a costume?
Yes.
So he had a picture of that. And I guess you didn't realize that was Ralph Northam. And
Oh, okay.
she's like standing next to me, and she's like, "You're so brave to be standing next to these 3%, 3%, people, white people, blah blah blah." And he's like, "What are you talking about?" And we're all looking at each other, and she keeps on going on, and I'm like, "Devin, I think that she thinks you're on her side." And he just started laughing. He was like, "That's the governor."
Oh my God. I have, I'm just shocked. Every time I wake up in the morning, and sometimes I'm just shaking my head. I cannot believe this is my America. I cannot believe this is the same post 9/11 America. There's so much division. Now there's division about mask versus no mask. There's division about BLM Antifa versus this. There's division about this. We all just really need to come together. I mean, my pastor kind of explains it really clearly to me. I'm a Christian first. So I have to come at this from a point of love. And I've got to come at it and say, talk to me. What's your fear? If you can find out what somebody's fear is, then usually you can kind of address it. I can't argue someone's feelings. I can't argue someone's fears, but I can address them.
Yeah.
Then I'm an American. Then, I'm a conservative. So I have to have your priorities. I don't always get it right. I'm flawed. But my intent is to really try to extend that olive branch whenever I can.
Yeah, Devin always, I'll bring this up so you can see. Devin always makes a joke about people assuming that, 3%ers and everything are racist. So this is what he
I love it. I love it. I love it.
Yeah, but it's, I think it is kind of planned that they want to demonize gun owners. If you look at the Moms Demand Action, the leader of Moms Demand Action, who has me blocked on all social media
sure.
for some reason, during the 2A rally, which over 50% of the people speaking were not white males. She posted, why can't I remember her name now? Who cares about her? But she,
significant ones, kind of.
Yeah, Shannon Watts. I don't know why I blanked out. Yeah, she posted, "It looks like a white supremacist rally in front of the Capitol." It's like, did you even see the pictures? There was a diverse crowd.
It happened to us at the memorial yesterday. Now, a couple of us had our ARs out. Police and the sheriff's department totally on board with what we were doing, guarding the memorial. And it's adjacent to the courthouse. And we're out there just, sipping water, talking, fellowshipping with people who are coming up from the community, thank us. And somebody comes running into the courthouse screaming that there's a crazy man brandishing his rifle, running around, and he has a knife. The cops just went, "Oh, yay, good. Because they just love to invent things. There's just no basis of it. We seriously were sitting there in our lawn chairs underneath a canopy because it was so hot, sipping some water, fellowshipping, loving America, talking to people, and we're portrayed as these knife-wielding AR lunatics.
Yeah, there's a video out there from Texas. I saw it like a couple of years ago where this lady, I guess they weren't from Texas. They were in like middle of nowhere, Texas too, where they go up to a cop and they're like, "There's a guy over there with a gun." It's like, well, what's he doing with a gun? Well, it's on his hip. And they're like, "Oh, ma'am, this is Texas. We like our guns here." And they're like, "Well, aren't you going to go question him?" And the cop's like, "Ma'am, he's not doing anything wrong."
Do you remember the whole thing with Walmart with open carry?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm in Walmart. I'm concealed, and I'm having a conversation with the woman, and she goes, "Open carry, isn't it kind of like really ridiculous to like walk around with the gun in your hands?" She thought open carry was literally walking with the gun in the palm of your hand. I didn't even, she said, isn't that exhausting? Like, that's so dangerous. I seriously, John, I did not. I just looked at her in the South. We just say, oh, bless her heart. They have no clue. They don't even know the jargon.
Yeah,
They don't
well,
even know the jargon.
they don't want them to know the jargon. The
No.
anti-gun politicians don't want them to know the jargon. That's the whole thing.
They're totally they're a manipulated population. Now, I'm not going to go so far as to say is that we always get it right and that we're always on the right side of things. But you can't go wrong when you back the Constitution.
No.
And that's just how I feel. It's just been a long journey for me, going from somebody who, I was in the Air Force ROTC as a teenager. I graduated high school at 16. I was in the Air Force ROTC at 17, 18, 19. And I was a conscientious objector. I wouldn't even touch it. Come a long way. And it's a sense of such freedom and security. It doesn't make you tough. It makes you feel safe.
Yeah, it does.
It
definitely does.
And I encourage everybody, even if you never want to fire it again, I think it's important for every American to learn how to use it, learn how to use a gun. Because with all this talk about defunding police, you better be ready.
When New York just announced that they're going to cut their police budget by $1 billion, with $1 billion with a B.
Well, they got rid of their whole crime unit division. So, and I feel really sad. My two nephews in New York, one just joined NYPD about 9 months ago, and the other one Suffolk County cop. And my nephew Lewis in New York City, he's devastated. The first 9 months, he's dealing with COVID, picking up dead bodies all the time. And now he's dealing with riots. His personal car was vandalized. He made an application to Tennessee Law Department, and hopefully, he'll come.
Yeah, my father-in-law was in NYPD.
Okay, all right. I think he's in Bayside. He's in Bayside, but during the riots, they were sending them, anywhere, wherever the riot was, that's where he was going. And I keep thinking, what a horrible rookie year to have this and to feel like you made a wrong career decision. Is reform needed? I'm sure there is. We've all met a cop or two that we really know really doesn't have a great agenda.
Yeah, but a lot more cops that do.
And they have my unending support and devotion and gratitude towards them. I don't even know what to tell them. And you look to fund the police. And I don't even. It just doesn't even. It just defies logic. It absolutely defies logic. Who are you going to call? The Ghostbusters. I mean, who's coming? Who's coming? Who's coming to help you? And so, everybody, again, not to be political, but, you live in a democratic city right now, a big democratic city, and they want to talk about defund police. Well, you better get on board with the Second Amendment, and you better get your firearm because you're on your own first responder. You're on your own.
Yeah, I think they're trying to take over around City Hall tonight. Last I looked, right before I got on the show.
Where?
In New York City.
They're going to try to take over City Hall?
Yeah. Yeah, that's what they're trying to do right now, actually. They're trying to set up a Chaz type area.
Oh, that ain't going to fly. That can't fly. Well, I don't know what de Blasio. I mean,
I don't know what
this is definitely not Rudy Giuliani's New York City. I got to tell you that. This would never have happened.
I know they tried to take over an area in D.C., but one thing about D.C. cops is they deal with protests a lot, like every day, and they don't really F around too much.
I have no issue with the protest. I've been an advocate and an activist since the time I was a teenager.
Yeah,
I've been out, but I'm not burning. I won't burn anything down. I'm not. This is beyond. I mean, we're not calling them protesters. This is beyond that.
Yeah.
This is unlawfulness. These are rioters. Rioters and protesters are different animals. But to the protesters out there, if you stand by and let your cause be hijacked by rioters, then you're complicit.
Yeah.
You're
Well,
complicit.
the DC cops went in there and they basically dismantled where they were trying to set up. They were calling it the Black House Autonomous Zone, and
Oh my gosh.
DC cops are like, yeah, we don't. We deal with people getting out of hand at protest every day. So they're really good at dealing with protesters, of knowing how far to let them go before they.
Before, and I think if you
I mean,
see where it's all happening, it's really, you can see the agenda unfold. You can see that it's all happening in Democratic run cities with Democratic mayors, with Democratic governors, and there's a pattern here. And how is all of this Donald Trump's fault if it's happening in Democratic run cities and states? It just defies logic, John, and I'm frustrated as all get out. And I'm trying not to let it rob my peace, but there are days where I just shake my head like I can't watch any more news.
Well, one of the out in Chaz in Seattle, when they shot when they shot the two joyriders, the 14-year-old and 16-year-old unarmed black kids yesterday, their security force,
Yep.
so to speak. One of the members of the city council posted saying, oh, we don't have the details yet, but this just shows you, how capitalism. I can't remember the exact quote. It was just like, what?
They like to flip the switch. It's almost like a transference issue when you talk psychology. So here they are doing these things and then trying to say that it's, the conservatives that are doing it. I just found it hysterical, pretty sad, that Chaz found it really important to set up borders. I really loved that they set up borders and you had to have ID and they were checking it. It's kind of novel concept.
Yeah, it's like,
borders work. So, if it fits them, it works. And then when they don't want it to work anymore, then they're being oppressed, or they like to blame President Trump.
Yeah, but it was just something crazy. It was just like, what are you talking about? They were shot by admitted communists.
And they just truly don't get it. And then you hear, why isn't Trump doing anything? Why isn't Trump doing anything? And I got to remind them, states' rights. States' rights. If he goes in and he does it, it sets a really dangerous precedent. Really dangerous precedent. And he has said many times, I'm sure you've heard him say, just give me the call. I'm ready. I'm ready to go in and take care of this. It'll be cleaned up in an hour. And we had to get some people killed over it instead.
One last thing. Did you see what Steven Crowder did out there?
I did not.
Well, the warlord of Chaz, Raz.
Yeah, the rap singer.
Yeah. Well, they found out that he had an Airbnb for rent. So let me bring this up.
Wait a minute. Within Chaz?
No, outside Chaz.
Outside Chaz.
So they rented it, and this is what they did to it.
Oh my gosh. Oh, how are we supposed to take them seriously?
Now, this is what Steven Crowder did to Roz's Airbnb that he was renting out.
Oh my god!
They went and graffitied the inside of it because so he was like, because Roz's big thing is, it's just graffiti. It can be washed off.
Right. So what was his reaction to this?
Apparently, he didn't like it too much.
Oh, poor thing.
Firearms CV. I think you might be on. I'm not sure where what platform you're on, maybe D Live, because I don't know what that little question mark means.
Maybe no picture, no profile
No, no,
picture.
no. It will show you a platform
Oh, okay.
like YouTube. So I'm thinking it's probably D Live. I know some of the pictures. Not everything's getting pumped in, so that's probably D Live. And if D Live wasn't getting pumped in, now it is. Or I don't know. I don't know. I think I'm being targeted. But I will let you get out of here because we've been on for an hour and 15 minutes. But before we go, do you have anything to plug? And let me just remove that.
Well, I encourage everybody to find their local DC project state page. We're a great group of gals who really want to fight for the Constitution and want to make a difference. Make sure you know your gun laws for your state. Get trained. Ask for help. Don't be afraid to ask questions. And really protect this Constitution, because once we lose this, if we lose this, we'll never get it back. It's a sad truth, but
yeah, and you can visit the DC Project at dcproject.info. It's up on the screen.
awesome. I'm so glad you had that ready for me. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
I thank you so much for this opportunity to talk about the DC Project, red flag laws, all of it. Thank you for supporting the organization. It really has meant a lot to the ladies.
Would you be up for coming back on sometime in the future?
Absolutely. I've had a blast. This is a lot easier than I thought it was going to be. I owe that to you.
People are like, oh, so you do an interview show. It's like, it's more of a conversation show.
Yeah, this is okay. This is okay. It went fast. You said an hour will go fast, and I was like, I hope I have enough to fill the time. So yeah, I appreciate the extra time, which means we both had some fun. So
I have a guest named Tony Simon that comes on a lot, and whenever Tony comes on, the shows usually we lose track of time, and then all of a sudden we look at it and it's like, we've been on for 3.5 hours.
Wow. Okay.
The last time he was on, he did this whole thing of how, you know what a Karen is, right?
Oh yeah, a very funny story about a Karen. But go ahead.
How Karens lead to socialism.
So I was on a Facebook discussion real quick, and they're talking to this woman, and her name was Cynthia. And all of a sudden, they keep calling her Karen. And I'm like, guys, she's probably really upset because you're calling her Karen. Her name's Cynthia. What the heck are you guys talking about? So my daughter chimes in. She's cracking up. She's like, Mom, Karen is just like a busybody complaining person. Mom, you got to get with it. So that's how I found out about what Karen meant. But yeah, a lot of Karens out there right now. Nobody taking personal responsibility for themselves. A lot of passing the buck, a lot of complaining, not a lot of action. And it's great to be on a show like this where, maybe if there was somebody who had opposing view, I'm sure you would give them the forum as well to hash it out with. You seem a very engageable person. So that's always a good thing.
I don't believe in arguing. I believe in having discussions and conversations, because that's where, if you argue, you automatically put the other person in a defensive position where they're going to defend their position without being open.
Well, not only that, when you're in an argument with somebody, you're so focused on what you're going to say next, you're not even really listening. You're just trying to get your next soundbite in. You're trying to formulate your comeback more than you're really listening and hearing what the person is saying. So I appreciate this more than you know. And I'd love to come back. Hopefully when our Ladies of Liberty militia gets off and running.
Oh, I would love to do a whole show on that.
Okay. I'll talk to the girls.
Yeah, I'll have you all on. Well, I can have
It's new. We really literally this is breaking news, if you will, literally just formulated it today.
That is awesome.
So, yeah, we're being told to sit down. Let the big boys carry the big guns. So
that is awesome.
All right. Well, I appreciate you so much. Thank you. This was really quite enjoyable.
Yeah, it was. To see there's nothing to be nervous about.
Yeah, and yeah, that's just a different medium for me. I'm used to face, so I didn't know how we would have this connection, and seeing you side by side with me was actually great on the screen.
Yeah, it's basically face to face through a computer.
There you go. There you go. I'm learning. I'm growing. I'm changing every day.
All right, Dawna, thank you so much for coming
Hey,
on.
thank you. Take care. I really appreciate you. Thanks.
Thanks.
Bye.
Okay, that was Dawna.
I'm still on.
Yeah, hold on for 1 second, Don. I'll be right back with you. Talk to you for a second after the show. But that was Dawna LoPiccolo from the DC Project. We're going to have her back on to talk about the Lady Liberty stuff. But before I get out of here, I just want to plug a couple things. My Patreon, patreon.com/John Crump. $5 will get you an awesome patch. Maybe that one. Maybe I'll even throw in that one. Or maybe I'll throw in this. I'll do this one. You never know. Or maybe this one. Or maybe this one right here. You never know. For $5. Also, if you do a super chat really fast, which you still have time to do, you can also get a patch as well. $5. And everything goes to my niece with cancer. So it will be a great thing. You can also do paypal.me/JohnCC. I don't need the money, but they do. And anything I can do would be great. Like I said, all my YouTube revenue money, all my running money, everything goes directly to them. So go ahead and support me. Like, comment, and subscribe. Hit that thumbs up button. And if you want to join Gun Owners of America, you can do so for 25% off at gunowners.org/black-swan-media. That is my company. And I think that is it. So I'm going to go ahead and roll the video, and we're going to get out of here. See you tomorrow night.